Hi, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Navigating Midlife Live. This is actually a recorded session. I really wanted to get this guest in. I have a very special guest today, amycolor. I've known Amy for roughly about 5 years, but there's just some people that you just hit it off and you connect. And even though Amy and I have things in common, we also have things that are very different. She is a wealth of knowledge. So, amycolor is the intimacy coach, and she is an intimacy coach for men, women, and couples. And she literally has helped thousands. I think, and I'll get Amy to do a little bit of an intro as well, but she has moved people from roommates to playmates. Is that what it is, Amy? Yes.
Yep.
I also want to bring to your attention her book, The Huddle. Now, you might be seeing the words backwards, but anyway, The Huddle.
Mm.
This is a book that Amy wrote for men. But ladies, I recommend you read it. Like, this is a must read for women because it helps you understand kind of what men understand and how we can communicate with them. So anyway, you can purchase it through Amy's website or on Amazon, I believe. But it really is an amazing book. It's a very easy read, and I learned a lot from it. So without further ado, welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Connie. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm really excited that we finally found a date to be able to do this because the information that you've given me, and just as a side note, Amy has something called the locker room, and I'm actually a member of her ladies' locker room, and we have such great conversations. And even I, at almost 64, am learning new things. So, Amy,
We never
tell
never stops.
yeah, we never stop learning, right? So, Amy, tell my audience a little bit more about you, things that I may have missed that you think are really pertinent to know.
Gladly. I became the help that my husband and I needed, but we couldn't find. So in my relationship and in my marriage, just like many other people's, there were intimacy issues. And therapy was not addressing intimacy, and doctors were handing out pills, pumps, and injections. And what I wanted was to actually feel close with my husband, to connect with him, to make love with him. And so many men are feeling overwhelmed, or they don't know what to do, or they're performing, or they have no base for what real intimacy and real connection is. And I realized by working with thousands and thousands and thousands of people while I was studying psychotherapy and marriage therapy and sex therapy, that people, they tell us how important intimacy is, but nobody explains to us what it is and how to actually build it together. And by doing my work, I realized there was a real gap in somebody teaching us how to be partners and lovers for life in a way that worked for everybody. So I merged psychotherapy, neuroscience, my book covers a lot of science, and Tantra, which is the ancient art and wisdom of sensuality. And I've merged them together in a way where my clients learn a protocol that instantly builds connection without talking, without having sex, without performing, without struggle. It's miraculous.
Isn't it amazing, Amy, how there's so many things in life that how do I put it, that we're just supposed to know, right? Like,
Like,
we're just
like what
supposed,
else? Because
oh,
to me, this is my viewpoint. So I always say we're supposed to get into a relationship and everybody's figuring it out. You wouldn't go into a business and just figure it out. You'd have a business plan. You don't join a football team and figure out how to play football. You have a coach who teaches you how to do it. Even though you know how to throw the ball, that's how you get on the football team in the first place. But then we get into a relationship and we think he's supposed to just know how to throw the football and we're supposed to catch whatever ball he throws.
well, it's sort of similar in that way in menopause. If you, I remember having sex education class. That's what they called it, sex education class, back when I was, I think, a grade seven. So they talked about girls having periods and, babies and that kind of stuff. But not once did anybody ever talk about menopause. So, it's sort of the same thing. We're just supposed to figure out how to navigate menopause. And all of those changes that are happening to our body, changes that are happening to our partner's bodies. So you and I, even though we work in different fields, we're dealing with people and helping them sort of understand their bodies and how to communicate together, how to make things work.
Right. And I look at life as a constant, a continual effort of getting to know yourself and showing up for yourself and taking care of yourself because it changes all the way through. And
Yes.
I talk about attraction because, sexuality, and people go, well, that's not what I'm attracted to. That's not what I'm attracted to. And it's like, but what is good for you and what is right for you at different points in your life. I can't eat the same chips that I ate when I was 20 years old because I'm older now. So it's learning how to take care of each other. And in a relationship or even regarding your sexuality, intimacy, it's a continual effort of showing up for yourself, being able to take care of yourself, recognizing what your needs are, and that they are constantly changing.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. I hear the same thing, especially for postmenopausal women. It's like, okay, well, you're done. You're postmenopause. There's nothing you need to do. And that is so far from the truth because there's still so many things that we need to do to support our bodies postmenopause. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, very, very similar. So and as I mentioned your locker rooms and some of the, very cool discussions we have in there. So here's the thing that uh, I guess women discuss with me, as far as, you know, sex is painful, or I'm just not in the mood, when he kind of expects me to, suddenly turn it on. And I find women, once they start going through the stages of menopause, they're looking more for that emotional intimacy connection rather than that boom, boom connection. So there's a disconnect there. There's the painful sex. Women are very confused about what's happening to their bodies because suddenly they're going, like, who put me in this body that I don't even know how to work with anymore? And
Mm.
then there's the other side of it, that their partner is feeling rejected because suddenly she doesn't want to be touched, she doesn't want to have sex, and their partner's potentially facing physiological changes as well. So how do I can give women coaching on making things less painful, that type of stuff. But how do we bring them together to start having these conversations without having those uncomfortable conversations?
Okay, well, here's what I would want women to know. Even before menopause, like all through sex, like from the very beginning, I'd like to rename sex pleasure because we think of sex as penetration and an orgasm as the goal. So then people think, well, if there wasn't penetration, there wasn't orgasm, was it even sex? But we call an orgasm a climax of sexual pleasure. Where's the pleasure?
Right.
Uh-huh. So when you spend your life, instead of spending your life having sex, when you spend your life giving and receiving, sharing pleasure, it changes the whole thing. So
Yes.
when it comes to painful sex, I actually teach a lot of methods because there are women who have painful sex even before menopause.
Yes.
So I've been teaching people how to deal with painful sex, and the cure for that again is pleasure. The cure for pain is pleasure. And there's a lot of ways to do it with pleasure. And that's what I teach. I literally teach people how to enter with pleasure so it doesn't hurt. I just have posted a video about that on YouTube if anybody wants to see it, about why women say no to sex. And a lot of times it's because pain. The way I describe it is it's if somebody says, okay, you ready for sex? And then they shove a thumb into your mouth. Your mouth will lubricate. I have to finish this because it's interesting. Your mouth will lubricate because our bodies are designed for protection. But if your mouth lubricates from pleasure, where somebody's slowly and you've pulled them into your mouth, the lubrication comes from your saliva. The saliva has different neuropeptides that tell your body if you are in defensive mode or if you're in pleasure mode. And so your body has a whole different reaction. So there are moves. I've built a ritual so that when somebody starts, you initiate with the same move every single time. So people go, well, how do I initiate? I already taught you that move. Well, I've already done that. What do I do now? Every single time. You don't start a football game with a different position and a different move every time. No, they start with the same way and then it unfolds. So when you're starting from a place of connection and pleasure and positive neuropeptides telling your body you're in pleasure, it's a totally different way than worrying about painful sex. So once it's done with pleasure, it's a game changer for both of you, and you will both wish that you would learn this back in your 20s or 30s.
Absolutely. And you're so right. I mean, even when it comes to eating food, this is what I talk to my clients about. If you're going to eat stressed, your body's taking that food in completely differently than if you take a moment to take a look at it, take a moment to feel it in your mouth, chew it, just savor the flavors in your mouth before you swallow it. So it our bodies are really so amazing how smart
Amazing.
they are, right?
And what you're talking about is accessing your sensual body,
Yeah.
sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. That's why we like to go to a gourmet restaurant. They have created a sensory experience, the music, the light, so when you have access to your sensory system, it increases your connection to it. It's how we're physiologically designed. And huddling is that sound of and it increases your access to your sensual body because it creates saliva.
Would you lead us through a huddle?
I
We
would
we should have
gladly. This
we
is a
should
huddle.
have done that.
This is a huddle, and I'm going to get to our next ones, which were mood and emotional, because I made your list. So the connection and even your mood and sharing your emotional state is an awesome way. This is an awesome way to do it. So I invite you to put a palm on your chest to make the mind-body connection and answer these three little questions. Are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Are you okay? Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And that's exactly it. And you can share your emotional response by doing that. Because even if you say, are you here? Mm-hmm. Are you okay? Are you willing? I mean, it tells you everything without having to label those feelings. Because as soon as we start putting words to those emotions, it actually disconnects us from our partner. They can't feel us. Men don't hear words. Hello, ladies. Men don't hear words. Actually, women too, we respond more to the fluent physical language of tone, posture, little signals. But men respond to, hey, oh, that's why they speak that language on the football field. And it's what we respond to. Those are our inner signals. So, men describing their feelings, that's why men don't talk about their feelings. They express feelings. They express feelings through physical contact. I know I'm stereotyping, but it's easiest to see it that way. So, as coming to the next phrase on your list, because I'm going to make it through your list, which was moods. Women will be like, I'm not in the mood. And the reason that women say they're not in the mood is because they're thinking in the mood for sex. I got to shower, I got to shave, I got to let him enter me, I'm going to have to go down. That's a lot. That's why when we rephrase it as pleasure, we're always in the mood for pleasure. I have a lot of videos. I relate it to pizza. It's like we're always in the mood for pizza. But sometimes we want one slice. Sometimes we want to put on the fat robe and eat the whole pizza. Sometimes we want to dip it. So, but we're always in the mood for pizza. So if you start with, start with pleasure and then go from there, then it really expands. And I really encourage people to connect in any mood, which is why you can use this huddle, because the connection in any mood. Are you here? Mm-hmm. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Are you willing? Mm-mm. Still works. Still works, but you are still doing that connection even if you don't want to have more. And also what I invite people to do is are you in the mood to give or receive?
That's important.
That's huge. That is huge because it gives you a language. So what happens is you get into a relationship. We speak to two different people, moods, different appetites, different languages. When you have this program, you learn a similar language. So now when my couple say one of my wives has said to me, I wasn't in the mood, but I didn't have to reject him. I was able to say, she thought about it for a second and she said to me, I was able to say to him, I've only got 10 minutes in me and all I can do is receive. So that means that all she had was 10 minutes. They set a timer, and all she had to do was receive pleasure. So he has all these moves that he can try on her, and he loves it because he can tell that he's giving her pleasure because she's like, oh, mm. And he also knows that if he gives her pleasure on Tuesday, and then they talk about it afterwards, the way I teach them to call it the ABCDs, that on Wednesday he's going to wake up and he's going to remember the good part and he's going to go, remember when I dragged that scarf over your butt? Let's do it again tonight. Because he knows that was a good part for her. And she's going to go, oh, yeah. And that's how they expand their menu. That's how he knows what her moods are, what her desires really are. And it's emotional. The next one was the emotional connection because they can't talk about what's going on, and women are used to talking
Yes.
about what they're feeling instead of expressing it through their body or their emotion. If you look at a man, that's why we call it a man cold, because he can over express it. Where women, we don't express ourselves unless we're talking about it.
Right.
hmm So having this language between the two of you builds an emotional bond. For example, the husband who said to me, who shared with me that he could tell his wife was in a mood. Normally, when his wife is in a mood, he stays the heck away from her. But this time he looked at her, he put a palm on his chest, he looked at her and he said, are you here? And she knew what he was doing and she was annoyed because she was in a mood. And she went, uh-huh. And he said, are you okay? And she didn't expect it, but she just looked at him and went, and she started crying. Now, because he has a me, he knows not to go, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Because as soon as she starts talking, she's going to be mired in the what's wrong instead of the connection. So he just stands there going, uh-huh, uh-huh, oh, oh, oh. And she shares as much as she needs to. And he even like left a meeting to go, I need to finish talking to my wife. I'll be back in 5 minutes. He's never done that before. And he went back to her and he was like, okay, I'm here for you. And she was like, what? So she was able to start talking about her stuff because he knew that all he had to do was stay there, go like this. And anything that he heard that held out, he was like, okay, so this is about, you being upset about this. I feel you. That's what I teach men to do. I feel you. Because if he starts going, oh, I get it, you're hurt, she's going to go, no, I'm not. I'm sad. No, I'm not. I'm angry. It's like, oh my God, he can't get it right.
You know what, that is so true, right? And women sometimes get mad at me when I say this. When I did a survey a few years ago with men and women, and 89% of the men that responded, and I had like a really good response rate, said that they really are interested in what women are experiencing in menopause. When I asked women if men were interested, every woman said no, they don't care. And I said, hold it a second. Think about this. We ask a man, do I look good in this dress? And if he goes, yes, we go, oh, you're just saying that. We always, we don't take it at face value of what it is. And so this is part of the disconnect as well too, is that if we're going to, every time we ask a man a question, do you think that he's going to come along when you're in menopause and go, are you okay? Because he has no idea what the response is going to be. So I love this action, this process that you're giving a man so that he can just be there to start to regain that connection.
Right. And it's also a practice for women because women have a hard time with men's big emotions too.
Yes.
I find that I am a certified therapist, but I left the board, and because they're trying to get men to not be angry.
Mm.
And instead, I want to teach women how to be with a man's moods, his emotions, the same as I want to teach him to be with her big emotions.
Right.
And when you're angry and you're this, and if somebody's going, or they've disappeared, and they're not going, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. You can match it. Just like I teach men to do that to her. Say that's why she keeps going on and on and on, is because you're just quiet and listening. But as soon as she can feel you going, uh-huh, like you're reflecting her mood back to her, then she feels emotionally connected. She feels felt, and she can be done.
Right.
Hmm. So it creates that emotional connection. You also mentioned compliments. I have to go there. Like, because if you say, "Do I look good in this?" and he says, "Yeah," no matter what he says, no matter what he says, you're going to discount it
Yes.
because we all have a little voice in our head, and our little voice in our head is made to be defensive. That is the job of that voice. So if somebody says, "You look good in that," we have a little voice inside our head that says, "No, I don't. I've gained 20 pounds. I'm
Yeah.
not young like I used to be."
Yeah.
That's why I teach men to look at a woman and go, "Ooh, oh." Because we don't have a little voice for that sound. That sound is from the heart. It's called a vocable. Huddles are the true nature of communication, meaning these are like those sounds like oops, ouch. They need no explanation. They're understood by the soul, the spirit immediately. And it's universal language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Us, yeah.
That's such great advice, Amy. It really is such great advice because we have to, you're right, like women have that little voice in the head that's like,
So do men.
and yes, you're right, men do too as well. And so I do. I love this language. I mean, I have to admit, I had an ex-boyfriend who, when I would get dressed up and he'd say, "Oh, Connie, you look so beautiful," or "You look so great," or "You just look really lovely." And I got used to taking that in because when I first met him, I didn't. And then
Mm,
after a while, I realized that he was being very truthful about this, and I did get used to taking that in, and it felt really good. But if I had walked out, all dressed up, and he had gone, mm, that would have spoke volumes as well.
yeah. Absolutely. And the other one you were talking about is confused. Women are confused about what's going on in their body, especially regarding sexuality. So I want to take a minute and talk about it because I feel pressed for time and I'm so passionate about this. A lot of times women will reach menopause and they feel like they're not sexy anymore. And the reason that we feel that way biologically, I imagine this is something you talk about, is there's a change in hormones. We smell different.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. And there's a change in our pheromones. This is why we don't get the social attention that we need to. I don't know how it felt for you, but for me, I was like, I know for friends of mine, they were like, I'm not getting the attention anymore. I'm really missing this. Where's my fuel of the attention? And for me, I was like, oh, I feel so safe. I can literally go into the store in a bathing suit. Nobody's, I felt so safe going out. It was such a shift for me. But I want to explain subtly what that shift is and how you can actually really realize that we're even hotter. We're even sexier at menopause. This is the way I describe it. Same for men. There is menopause too. So men go through the same thing at similar ages, but theirs have a million pills and hormonal remedies available through their doctors, just letting you know. And even when it comes to sexuality, right? They have pills, they have testosterone, they have this. They're giving women men's pills now. Anyways, before this stage in life, puberty. Let's look at puberty, shall we? When we're puberty, we are hot like a match. Like the wind blows and we're like, "Choo, I'm on." And especially for a man. So when we're young, it's like, if you literally look at somebody, I remember this feeling where you'd go, "Oh my God, he's so hot. I want him right now and I want to marry him."
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, oh my God, thank God that has calmed down. That's exactly how I feel. But it's also, it's slowed down, it's calmed down. So now you're not the flaming bonfire. You are the coals. You
Mm.
are the embers. And if you think about it, that's where the marshmallow gets perfect. Huh?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like you
Absolutely.
know where that is, and that coal where a fire burns and then it's gone. That's why those relationships are so hot and cold. But when we're older, you know how to get to, you know how to look at the fire. You go, there's the hot spot because you have the experience of it. I want men to be able to go to too. I have them build what I call your menu. So they know exactly those spots on your body, which I've pointed out for them by working with thousands of people. There's a spot behind the left knee, so you know. But
Noted.
those spots that literally turn on her huddle sounds, that's how he can find the spot where the embers are.
Mm.
hmm And
Mm.
if you, as a woman, know how to coal your embers so that you're not walking through a room, you are sauntering through a room. You are leaving that a wave of pulsing heat. Instead of fire, 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 you are it. That's the way I think of it. And when you own yourself that way, that's how I feel as a little short, gray-headed old lady. I still walk through a place and people are like, shit. Like they can feel you. You're walking through with embers. Own your hotness. It's yours for a lifetime. hmm And
Yeah.
regarding his rejection, when you shift it to pleasure, you don't have to worry about his rejection is, am I going to get hard? Or am I going to penetrate? Are we going to have an organ? Oh my God. Dude, you've never received whole body sensual pleasure either. So when you actually, as a couple, and I wish everybody would do this from the start, but a lot of my couples don't do it till after menopause. Literally learn how to play with pleasure, how to give him pleasure so that you can just be the giver. So how to receive pleasure or how to share it together. This is, then you are erotic, sensual beings together for the rest of your life, and it never ends. Never ends. I have clients who've 30 years. Yeah, so I've been at this for a long time. So I have clients who've been together for, and now since seeing me for like 25 years, where they're like, she's in a wheelchair now. And I go, you know, you can still, he's going, oh, believe we do.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
the one thing we are so grateful for because they learned how to be lovers. It's-
That's so important. That is so important. If we have a few minutes, yeah, we still have a little bit of time. I do want to touch on the subject of Tantra. You mentioned it earlier, and I do want to touch on this subject because I have had, this might sound wrong, but I mean, I've had a few relationships. I'm 64, almost. I've had a few relationships, but I've wanted to explore Tantra in some of the relationships that I've had, and the men are just like they get the whole deer in the headlights, and it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Like, and so and and maybe me saying, hey, let's explore tantra, that's putting huge responsibility on them because this is something they don't know. I don't know anything about it either. But how can couples explore this? Because like you said, in a way what you're doing is sort of, it is this body pleasure, which that's what tantra is. Tantra is not about the penetration and the orgasm, it is about the pleasure. And so, how can somebody bring this subject up without the other person going, "You're nuts, I'm not doing it."
Okay. Well, Tantra is a Sanskrit word that means to weave.
Hmm.
So if you say to a man, let's explore Tantra, if you say to a man, let's explore, he doesn't know what that means.
Right.
The reason men don't know what explore means is because they think of sex as penetration and an orgasm. So when a woman says, foreplay, foreplay, I want more foreplay, men think of foreplay as something they do to women to get them ready for penetration. Hmm. So if we call foreplay something else, such as pleasure, and we take turns giving, receiving pleasure, then he actually gets to receive it. To weave mean to tantra means to weave. When you huddle together, you are weaving your body's vibrations. It is extremely vulnerable to huddle with somebody in an intimate setting, which is why people get to practice with their coach. So when you are huddling, you are suddenly weaving. So this practice of huddling, I hear from many people going, "We did it. We got to that place. You got to that place of what we were just standing in the kitchen, and we went into a huddle." And he set a 3-minute timer. I didn't even know he set it. And we were just lost. I didn't know where I began and where I ended. And then they take that same feeling and they have it in the bedroom. And I've had other people have that just by huddling. There's this weaving of energies that most people are missing because they're like, okay, we're having sex. Now I do this to you to get you ready for penetration. Now I do this to you to get you hard. And now we do that thing and we're over. So when I'm saying to a man, let's explore, he's going, I don't even know what that means. So in my program, I literally take, don't mean to scare anyone, especially my men, but I take penetration off the table. And I've had men say to me, well, this seems like another way for women to not have to have sex. And I'm like, just wait, just wait, just wait. And it because it's a way to change the way he thinks about sex. You're not having sex anymore, you're going for pleasure. And when you have an orgasm, as I explained to him, because he's the resistant one, when you have an orgasm from a climax of pleasure, instead of you trying to push your head over the edge and finish the way that you have been since you were 18 or 30, it's a game changer. This man has not been the same. His wife has not been the same. I have to share because it's a menopause conversation and it's so awesome. When they start with this huddle sound and they're in that zone, then her body is already expecting pleasure. It is primed for pleasure. She has turned on her sounds of pleasure. So then they used my favorite sex toy, which is a scarf. And he dragged the scarf over her body the way that I told him to, checking out the spots that I told him to, the crack, just above the crack of your tushy. And she came in and going, I had a whole body orgasm and there wasn't even genital touch.
Yeah.
That's Tantra. That's where you are able to bring her body into such a sense of pleasure that she has, your whole body is wired for orgasmic pleasure. But we're so busy worrying about one part of it, and that one part of it, honestly, interestingly enough, has no nerve endings, so women can't feel it.
Yeah.
Men are tuned out, they're plugged into their brains, so they can't feel it. This actually turns out in their sensual body. So my whole program is you are learning to be tantric partners, tantric relationships. You have this unspoken emotional connection, this unspoken physical connection that just suddenly alters their life without having to work on it.
Yeah.
Suddenly they just have this awareness of each other, this thoughtfulness. They can communicate. It's remarkable. Absolutely so proud.
I love this conversation, and I'd mentioned your locker rooms, and I'm actually looking forward to finding a boyfriend so I can practice some of the things that I've been learning from you. I that maybe that didn't come out right, but I just
Oh,
say,
it
well,
is. To me, that is right. I feel like everybody should want to get into a relationship so that they can do this together. And I know that for so long we've been told not to get into relationships. Men are going to lose everything. Women are going to, you're not going to, da, da, he's going to stop helping you out in the house. But when you have this practice, this tantra practice, you're weaving together your energies, not just in the bedroom, but it
no,
shows up in all parts of your life,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
absolutely,
A
absolutely.
yeah, a man just described to me as peace. He's like, that we have peace. And
Wow.
that somebody had described his wife going, you just seem peaceful. You seem happy. You seem grace. And it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
a relationship finally makes sense.
Exactly. And isn't that the way it should be, right? I mean, we are meant to be relational beings, and having a relationship like that, well, people that work with you feel this, but how many couples out there are, constantly feeling that tension because they've lost that connection. They're staying together for the kids or whatever, right? And and working with you, you can help them change all of that.
Yeah, because that subtle shift that happens when we had kids came from our sensory. Remember your sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch? We're no longer connected to our partner, we're connected to the babies.
Right?
That's why I make men the team captain.
Ah,
Men are the leaders of intimacy in my world because we are the leaders of the home. We're setting this, we're setting this. This is what we want men to do. I don't care how powerful and how much of a control freak I am. I still want a man who knows how to lead me. So when he's leading you these huddle sounds, that's what I teach them. They're the team captain, getting to know the signals, read the cues, call the plays.
yes.
And it's mhm,
Even for the alpha woman.
yep,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
hmm
You and I could probably talk all day. We definitely could talk for hours, but
But instead, oh, sorry. I'm going to say, but instead, if somebody wants to hear more from me, they can contact me at amycolor.com, COLOR.
yes, I was just going to say the American spelling of color. But yes, I just want to add that I've loved being in your locker rooms, and
Mm.
I know it. Initially I did. I was in some of the complimentary ones that you were providing, and I backed out saying, "Oh, this is so depressing because I'm learning all these things and I don't have a man in my life to practice them." And then,
Mm.
you said to me, get in my locker room. And it's actually made me more excited now it's changed my thought of the dating world or whatever, dating apps, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, I want to find one. I want to find one so that I can practice it. So I highly, highly recommend your locker rooms for women. And of course, I haven't been in the men's, but I know that you would be doing great work in there as well too. And I
And they're
just,
very, very affordable because I want everybody to be in a relationship and have a new shift on it. So
yes, and it is very affordable. Like honestly, what is it? A couple cups of coffee these days?
I think it's $27 a month,
Yeah.
which is, yeah.
That's nothing for the pleasure that you can experience. And I bet you don't get that kind of pleasure from the donut
Well,
shop.
yeah, it's real dating, relationship, life, sex, communication advice that you can use right away. I mean, I make sure everybody leaves there with a strategy to move forward.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
absolutely. And I want to mention again your book, The Huddle. I highly, highly recommend it for women. I know Amy wrote it for men, so yes, absolutely recommend it because I do have some male people on my list and stuff, male people. But I do highly recommend it for women. It really is excellent, and it's interesting because it can also make men curious. Oh, what are you reading? As well too, right? So, you just leave it out on the coffee table or wherever the nightstand.
Or
Uh,
hand it to him and tell him he'll love it.
yeah, exactly. And it really is a very easy read. It is an easy read, but I don't want to simplify that because there's really good information in here as well too. But it is easy to read.
It's so easy that it's written for men to understand. It seems really easy, but it took me 5 years to write and research. There's a ton of scientific research in there.
Yes.
And if I can explain sex, love, intimacy, and relationships to a man, I can explain it to anybody.
Yes, absolutely. So once again, where's the best place for people to get a hold of you or follow you if they'd like?
Go to amycolor.com, COLOR, and get my free download, The 10 Myths and the 10 Truths. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. You can always book a call. I'm super easy to talk to and super happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. This conversation really is an extremely powerful, but also an extremely important conversation. And I truly believe if there's more connection amongst the couples, what kind of energy is being sent out into the world, right? And we really do need this connection energy more than anything.
We need love more than anything,
Yes.
and we got to make it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you so much, Amy. So that's this week's interview. I will be back again next week. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, of course, you can post them below or you can contact me directly. And yeah, we'll see.